Hello everyone and welcome back to another average review. Today I'm gonna be reviewing the Jakks Pacific Sonic the Hedgehog Sonic Forms 3-pack. Looking at the packaging, and yeah, there's not really much to say. It's a pretty standard, window box with the Sonic the Hedgehog logo, along with, a window showing the figures, and of course the title Sonic Forms pack down there. On the very back, we see some prototype renders of each of the different Sonic forms, being Super Sonic, Werehog Sonic, and Sonic with grind shoes, as they're called here, or, as they were intended to be in Sonic Adventure 2, the soap shoes, along with a cross-sell for some of the single-release 4-inch Sonic figures released around the time of this 3-pack. Not much to say here, so let's get right into talking about these figures. Alright, getting all three out of the box, and we gotta start out with the sculpting and paintwork, but who should we start with? I think it's pretty fair to just start with the normal, quote-unquote, Sonic figure. Now, for the most part, this is just a simple re-release of the regular Jakks Pacific 4-inch Sonic, which is a pretty dang nice sculpt. They got all the details right. The way the quills look, the eyes, the overall shape of his body, the hands, pretty much everything is right, but oh, what do we have here? A new pair of kicks? Yeah, this Sonic figure has the fairly popular soap shoes that were featured in Sonic Adventure 2, and they are sculpted pretty well. All the details are there, and they're painted really well. And hey, it's pretty easy to see why these are so popular in the Sonic fandom. They look awesome. The rest of the figure, though, yeah, it's a fairly standard Sonic. I do wish the mouth had like a black outline instead of a color that's more reddish, since it sort of blends in with the rest of Sonic's skin. But overall, yeah, this is a pretty standard Sonic with some pretty nice shoes. There's even a really good amount of paint on the bottom, which, yeah, that looks really nice. This is I can see why this is one of the more desired figures from this pack. I love Sonic Adventure 2, so, yeah, this is pretty cool. If I have one complaint, the color on the stomach is a bit different from the color on the arms and the mouth, but that's just gonna happen when you have a light color over a blue as dark as this. It's kind of just gonna happen. Now for the second most normal Sonic in the pack, or maybe the most normal, since this is just a straight-up re-release of Jakks Pacific's regular 4-inch Super Sonic. He has the same body mold and, stuff like that as the regular 4-inch Sonic, and he has the standard, regular Sonic shoes, not the soap ones. He does have a different head sculpt that is, it's just the Super Sonic head sculpt that they use for the regular releases of this guy. And hey, it's not bad. I like how he's got a bit more of an angry, determined expression. It certainly fits with all the Supersonic fights in the series. The eyes are painted well. I like the shade of yellow. The color of the torso does blend in a bit with the yellow, but yeah, that's another thing that's gonna happen if you have a color that's nearing yellow next to, yellow. That's just gonna happen. I do kind of wish this figure also had something different to him. Maybe he could also have different shoes, or the blue eyes from that one Super Sonic in Sonic Frontiers. But, hey, it's fine to just have a regular Super Sonic, a regular version of Sonic in the Sonic Transformations pack. Even though the regular Sonic was different from regular Sonic because he had different shoes. I don't know, it's kind of weird, isn't it? But come on, I think the reason everyone wanted this 3-pack, or at least a lot of people wanted it, was the Werehog from Sonic Unleashed. And this thing is just awesome. It's a 100% new sculpt, and it's just spectacular. The spiked, extreme-looking shoes, all the fur detailing throughout the full body, a lot like Jakks' movie figures for Sonic. He's got the massive hands and the white fur around his hands that sort of mimics the glove cuffs. He's got these white tips on the back of his quills, which almost reminds me of the red streaks on Shadow's quills. Yeah, this figure is awesome, and it's an amazing, figure of the Werehog. I do have one complaint though, and it's actually more of a quality control issue. For some reason, the nails on this hand aren't painted, so yeah, I'll probably have to touch that up with some white paint. Still, besides that quality control blunder, this is a pretty dang cool werehog figure, and it's probably my favorite from the 3-pack. But hey, sculpting ain't everything. We also gotta see how well these Sonics can run, jump, and spin in a ball in the articulation. I hope you don't mind me not including Super Sonic, since he's literally just the same as regular Sonic, except with a mildly different head and shoes, which actually don't affect the articulation that much. Now, starting off with the Soap Sonic, he's got a head that can spin all the way around, which is pretty impressive with those big quills of his. Unfortunately, he only gets a little bit of up and down. His arms can spin around and hinge up above 90 degrees, only halted by his massive noggin. He unfortunately doesn't have elbow articulation, which, I mean, it would be nice to see Jakks Pacific add elbow articulation to their regular 4-inch Sonic figures. But he does have ball joints at the wrist, which can let you spin the hands around and wobble them in any direction. He's got hips that can kick forward about 90 degrees and kick backwards this far, and they can spin around, so you can get a more than perfect split. He's got single jointed knees that can bend back about 90 degrees and swivel side to side, and just like the hands, he's got ankles with a ball joint so you can spin them around and, well, wobble them around in any direction. Now, for the werehog, he's got a lot of the same points of articulation. He has just a ball-jointed head. It gets a bit more up and down, but he can't look all the way around. It's kind of blocked by his big dang quills. His shoulders can spin all the way around and hinge up, once again, above 90 degrees. He's also got elbow articulation, unlike the regular Sonics, which bends about 90 degrees. Pretty impressive for his bulky arms. And they can swivel side to side. His hands can mostly just spin around. They don't get a lot of wobbling around, but he's got the same, hips that can hinge forward about 90 degrees and, spin around and, once again, get a near perfect split. The bulkiness of the arms might get in the way of that, though. He's also got the single jointed knees, which can get about a 90-degree bend and spin around. But he's also got ankle hinge, which lets you hinge his feet forwards, backwards, spin them around, and pivot side to side. So yeah, I think it's clear to see that in terms of both sculpting and articulation, werehog is definitely the strongest of the three. Moving on to the figure comparisons, and I'm sorry, Super Sonic, I'm leaving you out again since you're pretty much the same as Soap Sonic. We're of course starting off with the standard male and female comparisons, the Hasbro Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows Spider-Man and Spinnerette. And I gotta admit, these Sonic figures scale surprisingly well with Marvel Legends. I mean, I usually think of Sonic at about half the height of a regular human, so this doesn't work that badly. Granted, it does make me want a 6-inch scale Dr. Eggman, since that would fit a lot better with these 4-inch Sonic figures than the regular 4-inch Eggman, which is relatively puny, but oh well. Although, hey, for another speedster that loves to crack jokes during fights, here's Wally West the Flash from DC Universe Classics. For some of the only other characters I have from the modern Sonic series in the 4-inch scale, here's Silver the Hedgehog and Vector the Crocodile, and yes, these are a very random duo of characters to have. Which is probably because I randomly picked up these figures individually at some random store. Although, hey, for another modern Sonic character I have in the 4-inch scale, here's E123 Omega, who is arguably in the top 10 Sonic characters solely for how cool he is. And yes, I do mean arguably, as in I will argue about it in the comments if you disagree with me until you agree. I will never stop. test me, or don't. Although, hey, for some 4-inch figures from the classic Sonic games, we have Mecha Sonic, or Silver Sonic, depending on which name you prefer, and Dr. Ivo Robotnik. And yeah, you can see my point on the Eggman figures in this 4-inch line being really undersized. Speaking of Eggman, though, here's the version of Eggman that carries every scene he's in, specifically Jim carries. And of course, Jakks Pacific's giant Death Egg robot, which will honestly always be one of the coolest Sonic figures ever made. Also, since I brought out Robotnik from Sonic 3, here's, well, Sonic from Sonic 3. I mainly wanted to bring this guy out to discuss the differences between game Sonic and movie Sonic, well, in terms of the design, since I think it's kinda interesting. Movie Sonic has separate eyes since he doesn't have that weird white gap between his eyes. He's also got blue arms, which I never understood why that was like a super heated design debate with versions of Sonic, starting with Sonic Boom. I just think it's kind of just like, it's fine. I think they're equal in terms of the arm color for Sonic. Yeah, I never got why that was a debate, but that's the Sonic fandom for you sometimes. He's also got a centered mouth, which I feel like works a lot better for something like live action, rather than a stylized thing like a video game, or a 2D drawing, a cartoon, a comic. Although, hey, for just a bit of fun, here's Sonic with his former console rival and now Olympics buddy, Super Mario from Jakks Pacific's World of Nintendo line. I actually like how this Mario looks with Sonic a whole lot. They just kind of match each other pretty well. Granted, I do wish I had a figure of Cat Mario, since, I mean, that would just look really funny with the werehog. Although, hey, as is tradition, here's the 3 Sonics, including Super Sonic in these comparisons for once, with Hitmonkey and Goliath. Now, this is usually the part of the video where I talk about the accessories, but, none of these figures come with any, so, oh well. Although I would like to mention, if you have this 3-pack and you want a Sonic Adventure 2 styled Super Sonic, but, you know, you obviously don't want to remove the Soap Shoes from this Sonic, there is a single-carded version of Soap Sonic that might have already released or is gonna release soon. So if you pick up that figure, you can just, you know, heat up the shoes on both the Super Sonic and the Soap Sonic with either hot water or a fancy schmancy heat gun, and yeah, you can just swap the shoes, and now you got Super Sonic with the Soap Shoes from Sonic Adventure 2. Nothing special there, but I felt like mentioning it for anyone that wants to make that kind of custom. Alright, now comes the question. How much does this 3-pack cost? Now, to my knowledge, the retail price was around $30, but this 3-pack has been pretty hard to find, so you may have to turn to eBay, where you'll probably have to pay $45 to $50 for this 3-pack. Which, yeah, I like these figures, but I don't know, I don't think the value's there for those aftermarket prices. Now, I did mention, there is a re-release of the Soap Sonic on its own, and you can probably find a 4-inch Super Sonic from Jakks pretty easily, but I don't think the same is the case with the werehog, at least to my knowledge. I don't think there's been a single release of that figure yet. But hey, if there is and I'm just wrong, then feel free to correct me in the comments, and I'll probably pin that for, you know, anyone interested in a werehog that can't track this 3-pack down. Now, overall, what are my thoughts on this 3-pack? Well, I'd say it's pretty dang fun. You get a new version of Sonic with, I mean, one of his more popular, I guess, quote-unquote alternate looks. It's just a different pair of shoes. The highly requested werehog in the Jakks line, and a re-release of Super Sonic, which, I mean, yeah, of course that'd be included in the Sonic Forms pack. And, you know, overall, it's pretty good. The Soap Shoes look nice, the werehog looks fantastic, and Super Sonic, I mean, he's probably the most boring out of the 3 here, but I mean, it's still a good Super Sonic figure. But I do have two nitpicks. I really wish Jakks would add, elbow articulation to the regular 4-inch Sonic figures. I mean, you can see how much it does for the Werehog, so I don't see why Sonic shouldn't have it either. And speaking of the Werehog, the quality control issue of his fingernails not being painted on one hand kinda bothers me. Otherwise, though, this is a great 3-pack, and honestly, for anyone getting into the line just now, it's, well, a pretty good way to get started. So overall, I'm going to give the Jakks Pacific Sonic Forms 3-pack a 9 out of 10. As usual, for those still watching, thank you very much, and have a great day, 'cause you deserve it. Bye-bye!